G'day, I'm Ian Swain, the owner of Swain Destinations, which customizes travel experiences to Australia, New Zealand, Africa, Asia, and India. And welcome to G'day with Ian Swain. We're heading back to my homeland in Australia to visit the outback in true luxury at a place that is very special for me. I remember about 15 years ago when I first was told that Emirates was going to build a 6-star resort west of the Blue Mountains. Took a while to get started, then finally the day before opening, I flew there in a helicopter to see this resort. Joost Heijmaier, the GM and basically the one who created it, met me and showed me around. I immediately got it and saw his vision coming to life. I sat with him eating lunch on the opposing hills of the resort, and he told me how every item in the build was ultimately his decision. I could see the excitement in his eyes. His new baby was coming to life. What a moment for me to experience that with him. Emirates' one and only Wolgan Valley is alive and well and is now under the command of Tim Stanhope, no stranger to luxury properties. Tim took over late last year. So welcome, Tim.
Hi, Ian. How are you? G'day. How's it going?
I'm going great. I got the G'day down there. That's good. I'm glad you picked that up. Wolgan Valley has a magnetism to it. It does draw you in. How did you feel when you first arrived there?
You know, when you drive down into the valley for the first time, Ian, I think it sort of captures you, takes your breath away and that's something that I very much notice when guests arrive on property, as it did myself. You know, you drive down into the valley and you pass through the huge array of different escarpment colors and the landscape and the wildlife. You know, then you come to this just stunning oasis in the middle of nowhere, and I think that's just a unique selling point where, you know, we're 3 hours drive from Sydney, and you wouldn't believe what the experience is that people, when they come here, they're like, wow, you know, seriously, we're 3 hours from Sydney and we've got all this. It's such a unique spot. You know, I like to think we're quintessentially Australian, you know, with that real luxury element to it. And that's something that's very unique to this property.
It is an amazing property. And the first time I did fly by helicopter, you can get there by helicopter now. It's about an hour's flight from Sydney Airport, landing on the resort itself. The first time I drove there, half the road wasn't bitumen at that time. It wasn't paved. It was just a dirt road and a bit rougher, and it took a bit longer to get there. But now it's paved all the way, so it's fine for even self-drive people coming in to drive their car right up to the resort. I've been to Wolgan many times, and each stayed in different villas around the property with different aspects. Below and above the main lodge and the mountain bikes make it easy to traverse between. Can you talk about the villas, each of them with their private pools and their fireplaces, etc., and how special they are?
Yeah, I think you sort of, you know, the introduction from Joost is, you know, he had very much an overview to what the property has to offer and what it is, what a unique experience it is for a guest to come. You know, I've mentioned prior, you know, you very much are in a very isolated location, and then you come to this ultra luxury of private swimming pools. You know, as the guest arrives, they walk in, they come into their villa, the fireplace is going. You know, the rooms are 80, the one bedroom villas are 83 square meters. You know, then we will come into the 2 bedroom villas, you know, which very much caters to the family experience, and they're up to 201 square meters. And then we go to our 3 bedroom villas, you know, and it's honestly, I've stayed in there one night is taking an experience, and you're like, wow, if I was going to build a house, that would be it. You know, they're just simply stunning. You know, all of them private swimming pools, and just the overall scenery from each room is just breathtaking. To watch the way that the different formations of the landscape change throughout the day. It's something that I very much think that someone could sit there pretty much the whole day and just enjoy that experience for itself.
Well, I've woken up many times and opened the curtains or left them open at night time, and you see little wallabies and wallaroos running around outside and just enjoying the scenery as much as we're enjoying it. You mentioned the 2 and 3 bedroom villas, which are very special up on the hill there behind the main lodge. which are popular for families. And you can get, you know, some of the larger multi-generational families that we travel. We've taken 2 or 3 of those villas all at the same time to give them a little compound almost. But you're right, that 3-bedroom villa is beautiful and to die for. And it's got to be very popular with all the families that come out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the great things with our 3-bedroom villa is that, you know, you can either have a personal chef there if you wanted. It has its own private kitchen. You know, the swimming pool is large enough for the whole family to jump in and have a great experience. You know, there is plenty of living space there. You know, the living space within that, you know, it really does suit large families just to get away. And as you've mentioned, it is away from the rest of the resort, so we can cater to all different types of needs of guests. They're stunning. I think that the whole aspect of the rooms has been so heavily thought through, just to really pamper a guest experience. Yeah.
Well, even the quality of the beds, and I know Joost did a very in-depth study to find the most comfortable bed there was, and I know he did that. It took a while, and he came up with them, and they're beautiful beds. Are they available for sale?
They are indeed, Ian. Yes, you can. Basically, you can purchase anything you want here, including me if you wanted. No, but we do sell quite a few beds. They are very, have, you know, a huge following of guests when they come. And, you know, it's one of the things that I noticed from our guest feedback is that, you know, amazing sleep that people have had. And, you know, it's when I greet guests at breakfast time, the first thing we'll walk around the tables, I say, how did you sleep? And everyone's like, you know, it's, yeah.
And also the bathrooms, they're so large. You've got those ceiling lights and the ceiling lights in there to get the outdoor atmosphere coming in. But they're huge, and the walk-in wardrobes are huge. I know when Linda and I went down there last time, Linda just fell in love with the wardrobe because she could hang everything up and still have plenty of room left over.
Yeah.
Now, of course, you have a myriad of activities. Please, you can share some of those with us now, some of your favorite ones. I'm sure by now you've tried them all. And what are your favorite ones, and what are some of the ones that you find that the clients really love?
Well, I think you know, it sort of depends where you are and what you are and which stage of life. And, you know, we do cater to many different ranges of ages. You know, from the stargazing to the Carney Creek Walk, the conservation, heritage tour of our 1832 original homestead. I think personally, my favorite, being a bit of a biker, I enjoy getting out and exploring some of the, you know, the 17 kilometers of tracks all over the property, right? And I very much, you know, when you're out there, it's such a special experience. And, you know, the conservation walk that we do really gets into detail of how the regeneration after the bushfires, and how Mother Nature has really bounced back, and the experience of clients or guests when they come in to see us is, you know, when they look at the stars in the sky at nighttime, I don't think I've ever seen so many stars in my life. You know, the other day I was driving home and I just saw this huge shooting star, and it was like, you know, oh my gosh, it was such an experience. You know, said a little wish. It was pretty special. But I think the overall, you know, there's so many different experiences from, you know, our spa treatments. We've got the sound therapy. And it just depends. So what we normally do is we have one of our guest service agents. We'll call you and we'll tailor make a plan for the individual guest, and making those tours or experiences up to tailor make to what our guests are actually looking for. You know, we have a huge range of demographic of people, and ages, different ranges. You know, from people 80 upwards that probably just want to sit there and look at the wildlife, to we have younger kids that want to come out and just get out on their bikes and go crazy. And then you've got the conservation element, which is so important in today's world. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, also, you forgot to mention the archery and the horse riding you have as well. I remember when I had my family there and we were having an archery contest, And of course, Linda wanted me to put an apple on my head so she could sort of carve it in half, but I didn't. But we put the apple on top of the target, and she actually did shoot the apple. So it made me feel a bit more comfortable about that.
Yeah.
But the horse riding is great around the creeks and around the valleys down there as well. Is that a popular pastime?
You know, Ian, when I'm having a busy day and it's all coming, I pop down and look at, go and see the horses. So we have 18 beautiful horses, and they're just, you know, it's an amazing experience to be riding through the caverns, through the escarpments on property on a horse, and it's just some sort of experience that I think everyone needs to experience once in their life. It's the true Australian experience. I've been in the outback riding a horse with a kubra on if there's a little bit of drizzle, you know, and then, you know, it's just such a special experience.
You got the RM Morrison moots on, and everything is a good go. I think after those hikes and the horse riding and everything, and you mentioned you can find the best way to relax is at the Heavenly Spa. You briefly touched on that. Can you talk a little bit more about the services that are provided at the spa?
So the spa, we have a range of, you know, from the true Bushman massage, what we call it, which is more of a
rough and tough.
Yeah. And we have our sound treatment therapy, which is very unique to this property. And probably, I think there's only 2 people in Australia who are actually doing sound therapy at this stage. You know, the gongs are, that just shatter through your body, and it's such an experience of what that spa is. You know, the spa is 6 treatment rooms, and yet again, when you walk into that overall, it's just such a calming feeling. Yeah.
No, it is. It's a tremendous place, and it's all there by itself. And you ride your bike or take a little walk from your villa down there, and it's a beautiful experience. And one very loved by everybody and who I've ever spoken to have had one. One of the most delightful memories I have, and there are a lot for me because Wolgan is, you know, one of my favorite places in the world, is the cuisine. Your chefs are so talented, and starting with a very hearty breakfast, I might add, and all the extras to ready yourself for the day, lunch in the country kitchen, and then near the amazing outdoor pool, which offers the freshest produce also. But I'd like you to share your thoughts on the dining experience at the lodge, and particularly the evening experience, paired with great Aussie wines and spirits.
Yeah, Ian, recently we've had a change in the culinary direction of property, and we have we managed to get James Viles, who is has come from us from a two-hat restaurant. James is a tremendous chef. I was a chef for some 27 years, and you know, he brings a different element to us to make us a true culinary destination. You know, he's a true forager of the land. You know, we go for drives around the property and looking for different elements that we can use and revert that back to what that plate looks like and feels. You know, the other day we were driving way out by Lamb's Flat, going through some of the creeks, and he says, "Hey, can you stop here?" So he stopped and he jumps out of the car and he's grabbing watercress out of the creek, and you know, it's that. But that's what this place is, and you know that he brings that back and creates different experiences. We're using 1832, the original homestead, to cook. You know, we roast chickens down there, and you know the true element of that farm to plate is just something that the experience is something very special. And
well, it used to be. I remember Yost telling me, and James, your predecessor, that I think it was 90% of the produce is found within, I think, about 5 miles or 10 miles of the lodge itself, which is great. Perhaps you can explain the 2 hats, because that's not an unknown term up here in America. And just you could explain the 2 hat theory to us.
So 2 hats is obviously it's very similar to what we would call the Michelin star. And obviously everyone I think pretty much understands what Michelin star is. So James he's had 2 Michelin stars, 2 hats or 2 stars in another restaurant that he's just come from, and he brings a whole different experience of culinary treats. You you know, he's smoking what we call a hanger steak, and it takes up to, you know, he smokes it for 24 hours at a very slow heat. And, you know, all of those little touches of elements that he does for the preparation of the food, when you've got that little first bite of you're thinking, you know, there's a little bit of the land that comes back into each mouthful, which is something, you know, very unique to this property.
That sounds amazing to have James. I'm looking forward to getting down there and sampling some of his goodies. It's I love having fresh produce and having chefs that are very creative on how they do it. You mentioned briefly 1832, which of course is the original homestead on the farm, and it's been resurrected and also has its own drink, I hear now. Please tell us about that.
Indeed, Ian. 1832 gin. Wow, what a story. So I guess the story goes back to James Wyndham creating this masterpiece of a gin, and you know, obviously the one thing that, you know, there was a whole lot of thought that went into creating what that bottle looked like. Obviously, we wanted to make sure that that bottle was a very special bottle that had a real impact, and then overall, you know, taking and how could we relate that gin back to the property, and as I look across over the plains. We have our Carney Creek that runs through us with some of the freshest water possible. So we take that water and then convert that back into and use the botanicals of the land, which is from the tea tree of the lemon tea tree of the property, and it creates this fantastic gin experience that is very unique. And as you know, one of the things is when I greet guests and I bring them down, I sit them down and, hey, would you like a welcome to Wolgan Tonic? And it is made with our 1832 gin. And, you know, there's not too many properties in the world that have their own personal gin as a flavor, which relates back to the property.
I remember James actually gave me bottle number 4 of that gin, and I brought it home with me, and I kept it for a while, but I recently had it and I was pleasantly surprised, and it was a beautiful soft drink, and it was just wonderful to have it drinking there with a bit of tonic and a lime. Conservation, I know, is instilled in the fibre of the resorts and the team, and that started with Joost and his group of people who created the resort. I've planted many small trees by the river by now, and they're probably tall trees by now, because I think the first one I planted was 10 or 11 years ago. I'd love to hear more about the conservation principles that you're following now, Tim.
Well, Ian, I think after the bushfires of December and early January, you know, obviously Mother Nature is very much has bounced back. And there are a few issues with that we had with the replanting of the trees. Obviously, was affected by the bushfires. But overall, you know, if you go around the property now and you just see sprouts of trees, and you know, just the regeneration is just something very special, and something very very special to me, not being from Australia. And to really witness how Mother Nature does really protect the land, and the regeneration is something very, I mean, it's unique to Australia. And you know, and so obviously what we do is we very much try and look after our wombat program. We look after the wombats, kangaroos. You know, there's an abundance of wildlife, of birds in the trees. The other day, I was looking down the property, and there was these wedgie, the big eagles, we call them, the
wedge-tail eagle.
Eagles, yeah. And you know, these things were just like gliders through the air, and it was just something very magical. I took an amazing video and of it, and actually put it on my Instagram page, and it's something very, very special to see the wildlife. And the further you go out to the property, and it's something that you have to come here to experience it. I think it's very hard to put it down on.
It is. It's very hard to explain. I hope my trees didn't get burnt down.
No, Ian, that's still there, my friend.
You didn't mention the really special trees, the Wallamai pines that you have on the property, because it's like they're secretive trees. They're the oldest trees ever, and you've got them planted there. Are they doing okay?
Yeah, they were a little bit impacted by the bushfires, Ian, and obviously what we have done is we've encased them, and they are starting to regenerate, like everything on property. You know, obviously it's a very it's a special walk down to the Willamai pine forest, and you pass. Actually, we have a Willamai down here that sits on just in front of the homestead, down in front of Country Kitchen. And it's probably the one that's doing the best of all, and you know, and they're such. To think how old they are and how unique it is to this property. It's obviously something that we cherish as a overall property and an organisation.
Well, they go back to the dinosaur era, they believe. So it's they've lasted through a lot more than a bushfire, so it should be okay. I know that and it wasn't long after you arrived last year that the bushfires burnt, which you've spoken about. But of course, Wolgan itself wasn't damaged at all, but you closed as a precaution. And then came COVID-19. Wolgan has its own community because it's so isolated, as we've been talking about. Can you share any feel-good stories of how you all banded together during those trying times?
Yeah, good question. Obviously, you know, what happened during COVID was just, I think it caught everyone by surprise in the world, right? And
yeah,
you know, with no guests on property, you know, and with 7,000 acres, there was plenty of work to keep everyone busy. So everyone pitched in. We had the chefs in the gardens. You know, I was doing the gardening, mowing the lawns, and there's a whole lot of different aspects of keeping the property into the shape that we need to keep it. And you know, everyone pitched in together. And you know, it was a very unusual time to be on. And obviously, I think we were pretty lucky to be here and being so isolated. Everyone was cramped up in their apartments or villas or wherever it was all over the world. And everyone was talking about isolation, and we're in 7,000 acres. It wasn't really, I don't think we really understood what people are going through, right?
Exactly. No, it's very different. It's very different. Well, listen, I know you're open again now, and you've got Australians visiting, which is great. And hopefully soon the Australian borders will open up for Americans to come down, because we've got a lot of clients who are ready to come down. And more importantly, I want to come down. I want to try James's food. I want to have another 1832 gin, because that bottle wasn't a big bottle that James gave me, so it went very quickly.
We should be sending another one in.
Yeah, I may need replenishment. Well, I can't wait to come back and visit. But thanks again for sharing your time with us today, Tim. It's been great talking to you. I can't wait to say good day to you down there. I'll get my Kubra out and we'll go out on one of the sundowners and do the safari. Yeah. So, by the way, do you still have the albino wallaroos there?
Yeah, Ian, there obviously after the bushfires, we haven't seen any recently, you know, but I believe that they're still on property. We tend to find, because we've had a lot of rainfall recently, that a lot of the wildlife have gone back into the hills, back into the bush, and then obviously when things will start to dry up again, you know, hopefully we'll see them soon again.
I remember the second or third visit I was down there, I happened to see two albino wallaroos that in the same afternoon. It was just amazing to see them both. They weren't together, they were both separate, but it was just amazing to see them, and to see them in the wild like that is just wonderful. But again, thanks again for your time. It's been really great chatting with you, and look after the place for me until I get there, and we'll see you soon.
Will do. Okay.
Bye, mate.
Yes, sir. Thanks, sir.